I guess we go over to Canada. Hey, let's go over to Canada. We're in Canada. This is a it's going to get so intense here because when you don't, now we stole this disclaimer. We stole this monologue from the movie Fast and Furious 5. Now, when you dominate people with violence and they have nothing to lose, what do they have? They fight back. But when you dominate people with lies and deception, and they have nothing to lose, they fight back. But when you dominate people with oppression, high interests, can't afford food, and they got nothing to lose, what do? They fight back. That's a quote from the movie Fast and Furious 5 that we've been quoting on here for the last 7-8 years now. And why am I bringing it up? Because it's going to get intense in Canada. It's going down for real. Take a look at this, folks. Canadian household debt nears $3 trillion, over 130% of GDP. You guys have no idea how intense this is. You guys have no idea how overwhelmingly disastrous this is. This is major. And is it because the immigrants that showed up last year? No, this has been happening since 2010, since the Vancouver model, when money was allowed to be brought in from China, suitcases of money, and parked into our real estate. And this is what's happening now. People are leveraging and over-leveraging. It's out of control. Higher interest rates may have slowed Canadians from borrowing, but they're embracing hope. Hope that rates will be cut and the debt they're once again accumulating will go down in cost. Bank of Canada, BOC, data shows household credit jumped in February and has shown some mild acceleration. This presents a few concerns for the country, which is already seeing its economy turn sluggish in response to the astronomical debt levels. Canadian households owe close to $3 trillion in debt. And there's the graph for you folks. There it is. That's the graph. Canadian households have slowed on borrowing recently, but they still accumulated a whopping amount of debt. And annual growth of Canadian household debt, including mortgages and consumer credit. And the 2020 rate cuts helped debt accumulation soar. If the nearly $3 trillion in debt sounds astronomical, that's because it is from March 2020 to the most recent data. Households added a whopping $541 billion to their debt pile at just under 4 years. Accumulation was 50% faster than the years preceding rate cuts. Wow. And this is important right here. Canadian household debt to GDP ratio at roughly 132% in February. It's unclear if the impact remains the same at more than 60 points above the threshold. Wow. This is intense for my friends over at Better Dwelling. Go over there and check them out. And let's see, they got something else here. Canada sees domestic and foreign investors pull out at record pace. So are the Chinese leaving? The Chinese were leaving Australia back in 2019, and then they came back to Australia. Are the Chinese leaving Canada? That's the question. Canada has historically had a reputation of a safe haven to global investors, but those days are suddenly gone. StatsCan released its securities trade for February. The data revealed global capital continues to flee the country's capital markets at a record pace. Even worse than domestic investors are now joining them. So people that own locally are actually pulling out. Canadian investors are sinking a record amounts of cash into foreign markets. Investors bought $24.2 billion in foreign securities in February after sending $7.6 billion in January. Most of the capital was sunk into foreign bonds and setting a record. Canadian investors are sinking record cash into foreign bonds, and they're just, foreign investors continue to flee Canada, anything but loonies. And domestic and foreign investors pull their cash, and it's crazy what's happening. And the latest update shows a disturbing trend that's emerging. Canada struggles to attract capital sufficient to offset its debt. That's the thing. They can't balance. This balancing act is not working, right? And it's even gotten to a point where its government is borrowing money to buy the mortgage bonds it guarantees. We covered that a few weeks or a month ago. Yeah, it's getting real intense here, real quick in a heartbeat here in Canada. And WEF linked Calgary mayor says, never being able to own a home gives you more freedom. Get the hell out of here. So living the Canadian dream or the American dream in Canada, or buying a little, being born, raised, educated in your own country, learning the language, the way of the land, getting to know your neighbors, but you're not going to own a house because foreign investors beat you to it back in 2010. So they're telling you never being able to own a home gives you more freedom. Yeah. I got a prediction video I'm going to make for you guys in the next week. Just doing some research to make sure, but it gives you more freedom. Keep that in the back of your minds, okay? Never being able to own your own home and facing the prospect of renting forever is a liberating experience, according to Calgary's WEF-linked mayor. I can't even read that, her name. Mayor G, who happens to own 2 houses in Calgary, claimed that owning nothing is synonymous with being happy during a discussion with the development company RNDSQR. We're starting to see a segment of population reject this idea of owning a home, and they're moving towards rental because it gives more freedom. Yeah. Anyways, there it is right there.
So we're starting to see a segment of the population reject this idea of owning a home, and they're moving towards rental because it gives them more freedom. They can travel to different places. They can try out different communities. Their job may take them from place to place. And so people have become much more liberated around what housing looks like and what the tenure of housing looks like. But as municipalities, we have...
and that you're all alone. We're not going to hurt you.
All right, let's move on. And Liberal government turning to influencers to get the message to younger Canadians. You guys think I was joking? And here it is, folks. Ottawa. Ooh, I can't see that. Dennis and Stephanie first started posting financial advice videos on YouTube 3 years ago. A side hustle to help scratch their creative itch. And they're getting paid good money for it. They're getting paid good money to put these financial videos up. And I was warned. I've been putting up financial videos for you guys for over 12 years now. Warning you guys, check your TDS. Check your total debt service. Check your CGS. Make sure you could afford. Make sure you lock in as long as you can at a lower. I was going over and over with you guys, making sure you're not over leveraging. And they're known online. We're among several content creators invited to Tuesday's federal budget lockup. They got early access to Ottawa's new spending blueprint. Yeah, they are basically like Rumble heroes. Like they're Rumble heroes or Twitter stars or YouTube influencers, whatever you call those people anymore. We don't even know who those people are anymore. And there's discussion of a bird flu, and up in Canada, they're always looking for a distraction. And Dr. Joseph Mercola, bird flu can't kill humans unless it's weaponized. So there it is, folks. If you're living in Canada and the bird flu season comes around again, I think it's coming around in a couple of weeks, it can't kill humans unless it's weaponized. So there it is right there. YouTube, if I'm replaying this video on YouTube later, don't take it down for medical misinformation because it's true, okay?